Hi, everybody. I'm pretty sure there's someone else here, but I can't see anybody. That's interesting. I'm John Conant, and I teach Latin here at Woodbridge. Oh, I see someone's there. And I wanted to talk about journaling, which is something that I figured that even being up on stage here, which I suspected was going to be scary, and it is, because it's something that I often talk about. I thought that maybe all that time and attention that I have invested in the past might give me some momentum and allow me to keep moving forward. I first started journaling when I was in high school. I took a class. I took psychology at Edison High School in Huntington Beach. And Mr. Frank gave us an assignment. He asked us to keep a dream journal, basically to write about our dreams every morning when we woke up. And actually, in my opinion, there's probably nothing more boring than listening to other people talk about their dreams. And so I'm not going to share that with you. But I will say that journaling is a skill. And when I wrote, and remembering your dreams is also a skill. And when I wrote it down every day, I got better at it. Not only did I get better at remembering my dreams for longer after I woke up, but eventually I reached a point where I would wake up and remember all the dreams I had had that night. The dream that I had just woken up from, the dream before that, even the dream before that. And it was pretty amazing. I journaled off and on, mostly off, despite the fact that it was definitely rewarding. And I journaled off and on for a number of years. I eventually got out of high school, went into the military. I journaled when I was in the military, especially when I would go traveling. I once went hitchhiking solo in Turkey for a month, and I wrote a journal while I was there. And I'm really glad that I did, because that's one of the few pieces of journaling that I have that I still own and can read it, and I can review and renew all of the kindness that people showed me when I was there. The reason I was in Turkey by myself is because everybody that I knew was terrified at the idea of going to a Muslim country. And I really wanted to go, because I really wanted to go to Istanbul. And so I went, and when I was there, everywhere I went, people reached out to me. They were all, for one thing, really impressed that I was traveling around by myself. And everywhere I went, people showed me really good hospitality. But nevertheless, my journaling was haphazard until something happened. In fact, it happened just over 10 years ago. Just over 10 years ago, I had a massive stroke. And interesting fact about that stroke is I was in the middle of a very modern hospital surrounded by people who specialize in treating stroke victims. And if you ever have a stroke, I recommend that's the place to be. I later had a chance to look at my MRI, which is the snapshot that they took of my brain right in the aftermath of the stroke. And I conferred with a neurologist who was evaluating it, and they said, yeah, if you had not been where you were when you had that stroke, you probably wouldn't be able to even talk right now. It was pretty big. But the reason I bring this up is that was a life-changing event. It really got my attention. And I decided that there were a lot of things about my life that I was dissatisfied, and I wanted to change some things. I wanted to reconnect with a lot of activities that I associate with high self-esteem, and let go of activities that weren't really working for me. And one of those things that I wanted to pick up again was journaling. And I did. I started journaling again, and just as before, the more I did it, the better I got at it. And it's something that I do consistently. Not every day. You don't have to do it every day. I sometimes put the journal down for months even, especially when things are going really well. I'm too busy to do it. But when I decided I wanted to start journaling again, I also decided that I wanted to do something better with my life. I wanted to find a line of work where I felt like I was sharing my gifts with people better than I had before. I decided I wanted to become a teacher. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. And part of making that decision was journaling about it. Thinking about, okay, what are my expectations? What would I need to do? Who can I talk to that knows something about this? And I wrote about it. I thought about what my feelings were, and then I analyzed those feelings and wrote about it. And as the fact that I'm standing here is proof that, at least as far as getting my attention span focused towards becoming a teacher, it was successful. But it has been really valuable in a lot of ways that I did not anticipate. Another thing that happened in the 10 years since I had my health crisis, my father passed. And because of the habit of journaling, I recorded a lot of what my feelings were at the time of his decline and passing. And I can, in some ways, revisit my father by looking at these journals and reading about what my feelings were like. I remember his last words. I remember what the day was like. I remember who was there much more vividly because I wrote about it. And I didn't just trust it to random memory. Right now in my life, my mom is also declining, which happens when you're in your late 80s. It's going to happen to all of us if we're lucky. But I am very carefully writing about my feelings as that is happening. In the future, I know that I'll be able to look back on my journals, and it's kind of like a time capsule that I'm putting in the ground for some future me. And I'll be able to reconnect with people that I love. But also another thing that's really interesting is because I think I have a very strong cynical streak in me deep inside somewhere, it's very easy for me not to remember good things. But when I journal and I write about my feelings, sometimes I write about the good days. And it's amazing to go and read something that's 5 or 10 years old. And you go, oh yeah, I forgot about that day. And here it is, it's back. And that's an amazing gift that you can give to yourself. I still journal when I need to focus my thoughts. When this summer, I'm really excited about, I'm gonna go live in Rome for 6 weeks. I'm gonna be going to a school that's specifically designed for Latin teachers. And putting that together and figuring out how I'm going to get ready for that, figuring out what my expectations are, and analyzing my feelings is really valuable for getting ready. And while I'm there, I hope that I'll have the leisure to journal of my experiences there so that in years to come, I'll be able to look back and remember all of the kindness that people showed me when I was in Rome. And I'm a very avid journalist, and I highly recommend it to all of you. It's something that keeps giving back, and it's also something that you can put aside. It's kind of like a cat. If you ignore the cat for a few days, they don't mind. They'll forgive you. And your journal will forgive you if you put it down for a while. And that's what I wanted to share. And thank you so much for your forbearance.